On January 30th, 2008, a vocal performance major at Azusa Pacific University, Colleen Ballinger, launched a YouTube channel called Miranda Sings. The titular Miranda was a character Ballinger created reportedly as an inside joke among friends, mocking some of the other students at the private Christian university.
There were a lot of cocky girls who thought they were really talented, and they weren't. They were so rude and snotty, it drove me nuts. Then I saw all these girls trying to make a career out of putting videos on YouTube for thousands to watch, clueless to the fact that they were terrible.
In March 2009, one of the Miranda videos, Free Voice Lesson, went viral. As her videos began to gain traction, Ballinger doubled down on any of the character's quirks and eccentricities that received negative criticism.
I took what people hated and exaggerated it more in the next video.
That was, as it turned out, an algorithmic stroke of genius, baiting more comments and spiking her popularity. By later that year, she was touring with Miranda. I was living in London at the time, and a couple of my friends went to see her. When they met her and took a photo with her, you'd think they were meeting fucking Taylor Swift or something. Colleen was among the first cohort of YouTube megastars. She released Miranda EPs, appeared on talk shows, and in 2016 starred in a short-lived Netflix comedy series based on her Miranda videos titled Haters Back Off, one of Miranda's catchphrases. She even used her YouTube stardom to boost her acting career outside of Miranda, making her Broadway debut as a supporting character in Waitress for 1 month in 2019. Her Wikipedia page weirdly brags about the rise in weekly ticket sales during this brief stint. On April 28, 2020, a content creator named Adam McIntyre, who'd been running a fan account for Miranda Sings since 2013 when he was only 10 years old, posted a video titled Colleen Ballinger, Stop Lying, in which he accused Ballinger of manipulating him into a situation where he became an unpaid social media ghostwriter for Miranda, confiding in him with inappropriate details about her impending divorce, and of mailing him lingerie while he was still a minor. Ballinger made a response video, apologizing for, among other things, the underwear incident, saying that Adam had asked for the underwear actually, but admitting that a woman in her 30s had no business sending thongs to tweens. Then, on June 4th, 2023, a YouTuber called Cody Rants posted a video titled Why I Left the Colleen Ballinger Fandom, in which they shared screenshots of alleged group chats between Colleen and her underage fans, in which she asked them inappropriate questions like whether or not they were virgins and what their favorite sexual positions were. As of the time of this recording, the video has been deleted, and Cody Rants has since nuked their YouTube and Twitter accounts. On June 7th, Adam McIntyre began posting a series of videos accusing Ballinger of emotionally grooming her young fans, mocking her fans' behavior in private DMs, and of sending him nudes from Trisha Paytas' OnlyFans account in order to make fun of them. So, stealing paywalled content in order to send revenge porn to a minor. Content creator Johnny Silvestri posted screenshots to Twitter of text messages purported to be between himself and Ballinger that included censored nude images of Trisha Paytas. Silvestri was a young adult at the time, but his alleged experiences with Ballinger and her team seemed to corroborate a lot of McIntyre's alleged experiences. And on June 28th, 2023, this happened. Ballinger released a video titled Hi on her Colleen Vlogs channel. In it, she addresses some of the allegations directed at her and accuses her accusers of taking part in a toxic gossip train driving down the tracks of misinformation to manipulation station. It's kind of a clunky metaphor. And she does it all in song because she claims her team advised her against saying anything, but they didn't say she couldn't sing anything. He didn't say I couldn't sing! Which honestly rules. I love this Rumpelstiltskin-ass relationship you have with your public relations and legal staff, Colleen. It's very quirky and entertaining. Colleen Ballinger has, at this point, had 15 years experience in stoking outrage for entertainment on YouTube, and the response to her non-apology video was predictable.
You should have listened to the PR team, girl.
We saw all of the proof you groomed kids and were inappropriate with them, and you say they're lying? You're done, Colleen. This was foolish. Get help.
There's literally mounts of screenshots and evidence. Lol.
This is low-key incredible. The Colleen Ballinger apology is so Lin-Manuel Miranda coded.
This is the wildest thing I've ever seen on this app.
Not a fucking ukulele, LMFAO.
She only feels sorry for herself. What about the affected children? Not an ounce of accountability in this apology video.
Slay.
I can't believe this is real. OMG.
2023 is not real.
You're very brave for having the comments section on.
This can't be real.
We are witnessing history right now. Salutey boy.
The only thing I've ever groomed, razor emoji, is my 2 Persian cats. Cat emoji, cat emoji. Not a groomer, girl emoji. Just a loser. Goes hard. Speaking head emoji, fire emoji, storm emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji.
I didn't know what her response would be, but I never could have imagined this.
So unfair for you to release this banger one day before Olivia released Vampire.
This is so insulting to the victims.
This is so painfully millennial.
Honestly, it was a genius move because Ballinger uploaded the music track to music streaming services like Apple Music in order to monetize it and, maybe allegedly, started submitting copyright claims for any videos that feature the track, i.e. any YouTube videos that are critical of her and include clips of High. Diabolical shit. Show-stopping. Never been beat. Related sidebar, because of this, for the purposes of this video, I will only be showing muted clips or screen caps of High, because I do not profit share with terrorists. But for me, it seemed to mark a fundamental shift in the media landscape that is the YouTuber apology video, which is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about YouTuber apology videos. And we're going to do it through a song. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you. So how do you know if you're watching a YouTube apology video? Well, the genre has some pretty standard tropes, and an actual apology isn't necessarily one of them. Number 1, a non-standard thumbnail and cryptic title. Often thumbnails on apology videos will feel less polished, having the subject seated in some kind of domestic setting, usually on or in front of a couch. This is a bad couch to sit in front of. I'm apologizing to YouTube in front of my velvet baby pink memory foam Barbie couch. My sparkly throw pillows. Examples of titles include taking accountability, addressing everything, so sorry, doing what's right, let's talk, breaking my silence, racism. This thumbnail is incredible. And High. Number 2, the sigh. YouTubers will often sigh or exhale at the beginning of their apology video to subtly let the audience know that the video will be breaking the standard format of their other videos, and to establish that they're going to be getting real and getting in their feelings. Number 3, vocal manipulation. In his video, How to Manipulate Your YouTube Audience, Bobby Burns points out that a lot of YouTubers employ weird breathing and vocal fry in their apology videos.
Another thing to look for is weird breathing and vocal fry. Weird breathing is basically, you need to sound like you just ran for 3 miles, or have done some kind of cardio very recently. Let me try. It's hard, you know? Vocal fry sounds like this. And when you speak with it, it sounds like this. I'm just really sad today, you know? I just... And then when you combine them, it sounds like this.
And it's hard for me to admit to myself that it's finally happening.
Now, the presence of some kind of vocal manipulation doesn't necessarily mean that the YouTuber's feelings aren't genuine, but it's often a product of playing up or trying to recreate moments of intense emotion in order to communicate to the audience that the YouTuber is going through it. Number 4, unspeakable evil. A YouTuber will make vague allusions and references to what they did without ever directly saying what they did wrong. This is an especially frustrating trope if you're another YouTuber trying to make a video about apology videos, watching these videos 5 years later. I need context, Laura Lee. Number 5, answering their own questions.
Did I make some mistakes? Yes. Would I make those same mistakes today? I don't know. Am I sorry?
Number 6, I'm only human. Set at varying degrees of hostility. If a YouTuber submits to any amount of self-flagellation over wrongdoing, they will take a beat to remind you that they're only human and they also make mistakes. Number 7. The reset arm. YouTube apology videos often end with the YouTuber reaching out to turn off their camera. This is a moment which is usually edited out of a typical video if it isn't absent entirely due to the presence of a camera operator. It, like the domestic setting and the sigh, lends an aesthetic of authenticity and rawness to the video. It also, in the language of the medium, sort of subtly suggests an end to the break-in format. The sigh is the start in quotation marks, and the camera shut-off is the end quotation marks, or the start and end parentheses, pick your punctuation metaphor. This one is particularly interesting when we're talking about Colleen Ballinger's apology song, because she actually wrote and rehearsed in a fake-out camera shut-off arm. She literally pretends she's going to shut off the camera before hesitating and returning to play the second chorus of the song. The actual end of the video is just a cut to black, and I'd argue that in lieu of the reset arm, she indicates a return to format with a really jarring shift into comedy voice.
What do I know? Fuck me, right?
But what do I know? Fuck me, right? But what do I know? Fuck me, right? In 2021, a content creator called Kai T. Bird made a pretty complete timeline of YouTube apology videos. Go watch it if you're into that sort of deep dive. The earliest examples of anything that might be called a YouTube apology video were videos from vloggers apologizing to their audiences for lack of uploads. But the YouTube apology video genre really sort of started coming into focus in 2016. One of the most notable examples of early apology video from this time was the Fine Brothers apology. React Media LLC, nay, the Fine Brothers, were early pioneers in the genre of YouTube reaction videos. When they noticed other content creators getting in on that sweet, sweet reaction action, Rafi and Benny Fine attempted to license and trademark their React series. As part of their trademark, the term react, among other terms, would be subject to copyright. Absolutely amazing, 11 out of 10. The brain-dead YouTube equivalent of Disney trying to copyright Dia de Muertos. The move was unsurprisingly wildly unpopular with both other YouTubers and the Fine Brothers subscriber base. YouTube issued a public statement that it would not be copyright striking any other channels doing reaction content or using the word react, and the Fine Brothers channel dropped by 675,000 subscribers in a month. I wish I had enough subscribers to lose 675,000. This is your call to action. Like, subscribe, ring bell. When the Fine Brothers issued their apology video, I think a lot of other content creators who'd seen a spike in their numbers after rightly expressing their outrage realized that there was a market of clicks to be tapped in drama content. The late 2010s was also around the time that the expressions cancel culture or call-out culture started to enter the zeitgeist, and with more viewers with a thirst for accountability, more content creators started to be taken to task for past problematic behavior. As YouTube megastars like Jeffree Star, Trisha Paytas, Jake Paul, and their ilk started to be taken to task for their past wrongdoings, I think they also realized that videos with tearful apologies get lots of clicks and new viewers, especially if you get canceled hard enough to trend on Twitter and or get enough hate comments to get pushed to the front page of YouTube by the algorithm. Maybe that's the cynic in me, but for the record, I will be employing this tactic to get my silver play button. Look out for my upcoming video, Hi, I'm speaking my truth and staying accountable, breaking the silence, and addressing everything 2023, not clickbait. As the genre of the YouTube apology video and the tropes therein started to emerge, there have been some pretty notable breaks from the typical format. Colleen Ballinger isn't the only trailblazer in that regard. In early 2022, TikToker Sienna May issued an apology following sexual assault allegations in which she performed an interpretive dance to Sam Smith's Young, and left-leaning YouTube's own darling ContraPoints turned her apology video into a feature-length cogitation on the concept of canceling. ContraPoints' cogitation on the concept of canceling. ContraPoints' cogitation on the concept of canceling. ContraPoints' cogitation on the concept of canceling. Cringe. Before Natalie Wynn's anti-stans head on down to my comments section to yell about the fact that she didn't actually apologize, yes, she did. on Blue Sky 3 years later, so you can only see it if you have an invite code. Iconic. There's like a level of cowardice that like swings back around and becomes gutsy. I love her. Come at me, Natalie haters. Give my comment section the engagement it deserves. Actually, looking at it again, she doesn't even apologize on the skeet. She says she should have apologized. God, she rocks so hard. 3 reskeets. Damn, engagement on Blue Sky is brutal. And you know what else is brutal? A diet without enough dietary fiber. Well, thankfully, this video is sponsored by Colleen Broom. Okay, I gotta use the monitor. Yes. Colleen Broom. Colleen Broom is a high-fiber dietary supplement that uses the highest quality ingredients to support your gut microbiome and health. The active ingredient in Colleen Broom is psyllium husk, which is a natural plant-derived source of viscous, soluble dietary fiber. In short, this means it's commonly used to treat both constipation and diarrhea. It just sort of keeps everything, you know, like a good poop consistency. Additionally, some studies have found that introducing psyllium husk to the diet can, over time, lower blood cholesterol levels in people with elevated cholesterol and blood glucose levels in people with type 2 diabetes. So if you fall into one of those 2 categories, you might consider talking to your doctor and trying out some Colleen Broom. Colleen Broom's mission is to break down the walls and talk about things like pooping and constipation open and freely. Some of you may know that I've been traveling a lot for work lately, living out of hotels and eating out for most of my meals, and that just tends to wreak havoc on your gut microbiome, even when you're traveling to places where the water is generally safe to drink. So I've kind of been a bit of a devotee to my dietary supplements lately, and Colleen Broom has been a welcome addition to that. The folks at Colleen Broom sent me the strawberry flavor, and I was prepared for it to be kind of nasty because most of the dietary supplements I add to water usually are, but it really wasn't. It's a nice flavor, and I felt good for hours afterwards. And my poops are perfect little poop emoji poops. Okay, it is coming up on 9:15 a.m. and it's time to show you how I make my Colleen Broom. So I've got a 32-ounce water bottle here. Colleen Broom actually recommends 12 to 14 ounces, but I tend to like my drinks a little bit less sweet, less flavored, so I dilute mine quite a bit. So I'm going to take a scoop of Colleen Broom. It comes with your little scooper. Add it to the bottle. Pour some water in. And then I'm just gonna shake her up like a cocktail shaker. And now I have a little lovely bottle of strawberry flavored Colleen Broom to sip on throughout my morning. If you'd like to try some Colleen Broom, you can use my link in the description, which guarantees you a discount, and use the code HOOTS10 at checkout for an additional 10% off. Again, that's the tracking link in the description for the first discount, and then HOOTS10 at checkout for another 10% off. And get your perfect little poop emoji poops. Thank you to Colleen Broom for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to watch a version of this video without ads, head on over to patreon.com/littlehoot and become a patron, where you'll get ad-free versions of sponsored content and updates on what I'm doing. So I'm not the first YouTuber to point out that YouTube as a platform tends to reward creators who present a kind of authenticity as part of their brand. I'm not saying it's a necessity to succeed on this platform, but it was really one of the first that spawned the discourse around parasociality in online spaces. As a quick briefing for the uninitiated and a brief reminder for the terminally online, parasociality was a concept first described in the 1950s to describe the one-way relationships members of the public have with public figures. It was originally a neutral term coined by sociologists Donald Horton and Richard Wohl, and used to describe the psychological relationship between audiences and mass media personalities. But in the social media era, it's largely taken on a negative connotation, as it has been used to critique the relationships between influencers and their audiences. Parasocial interaction, in which a member of an audience can develop feelings of friendship and intimacy for someone who doesn't reciprocate or even know they exist, can be exploited to sell products or pyramid schemes to people. And conversely, an influencer can be put into uncomfortable or even dangerous situations when strangers who feel like they have an intimate relationship with them decide they need to seek them out and become real friends with them, or dox and threaten them for some perceived slight. But again, it is a neutral term, and I often bristle at it being misused or only used in the negative connotation. There are actually positive consequences of some forms of parasocial interaction. In educational media, for example, there's a reason Dora the Explorer and Mr. Rogers address their audiences directly. But I digress. Even when a creator is doing a really obvious character like Miranda Sings, the format of the YouTube video kind of works best when it feels like the creator is breaking the fourth wall, so to speak, making an intimate connection with their audience. Though they may be in the millions, or in my case, the very low tens of thousands, you're speaking directly to them through the screen. And if you don't have the comments turned off, they even have a way to give you feedback. So the medium kind of generates this very intense, very specific form of parasociality and encourages the creator to maintain an unrealistic veneer of authenticity for their audience who feel they know and care about them. In their article, Crying on YouTube, Vlogs, Self-Exposure, and the Productivity of Negative Affect, digital culture researchers Rachel Berryman and Misha Kafka argue that one of the ways new media creators connect with their audiences is through the reproduction of negative emotional labor. Typically, emotional labor has mostly been observed in interactions where the laborer must maintain a positive affect. The most common example is Disneyland cast members, who are required to be consistently upbeat and friendly as part of the job. So in addition to performing the functional labor of their jobs, they must also manage their feelings and expressions in order to fulfill the emotional expectations of their jobs. And all public-facing positions require some degree of emotional labor from the workers who perform them. Berryman and Kafka argue that content creators perform a kind of emotional labor with negative affect in the format of the anxiety blog, the drama video, and, yes, the apology video. Crying on YouTube strengthens the parasocial bonds between creator and audience, often with positive outcomes for the creator on the platform. An increased audience attachment to the creator ensures their return for future videos, and positive outcomes for the creator emotionally. When you're upset, it simply feels nice to know that you have a bunch of sympathetic ears. None of this is to say that crying on YouTube is necessarily a wholly terrible thing. I mean, God knows I've done it. I think responsibly vlogging about your mental health struggles, especially if you're a creator with a larger platform, is an admirable thing to do. I think that genuinely apologizing for something that warranted an apology on the platform of your choosing is perfectly valid. But I think if we're willing to have discussions around the toll emotional labor with a positive affect has on workers, we really need to be willing to recognize the kind of toll emotional labor with a negative affect has on creators whose livelihoods depend on drama content. Because even when forcing a few tears on camera or forcing a few feuds on Twitter is a little manipulated and a little disingenuous, the consequences of constantly trying to maintain that elevated emotional state are very real. Over the past few weeks, I've really tried to place myself in Colleen Ballinger's headspace when she was busy writing and rehearsing and recording and editing her apology song. If I were her, and I were thinking somewhat rationally, but maybe looking for one last Hail Mary amid all the groomer allegations, I'd probably think one of two things was going to happen when I posted my ukulele apology video. The first, and probably the least likely, is that people think it's enough of a bop that they can't be that mad. You come across as sincere enough that most of your former fans come back to you, and the haters, like Adam McIntyre, eventually go find something else to be mad about. The second, and you think probably most likely, is that people get really, really fucking mad. They make your name trend on every social media platform for several days, and several news outlets publish articles about the Colleen Ballinger controversy. You gain more fame and attention from infamy. Lay low for a while, and when the opportunity presents itself, publish some kind of clap back at one of the creators who'd led the charge against you, to the tune of millions and millions of views. All that ad revenue. There's something of a drama video industrial complex on YouTube, and the apology video is an integral part of that. It's the dramatic climax of any gossip storyline. And here's the thing. I want to say that if you're 47 response videos deep and that DramaTube is just your particular sicko fetish on this hell site, that you'll get no judgment from me. But I have to ask, If Colleen Ballinger really is all the things that people say she is it worth supporting her financially? If YouTubers are expected to maintain a regular output of videos picking at their own wounds or picking fights in order to bond with their audiences with very real consequences to their own mental health, is that an ethical thing to be consuming? I really do believe in the possibility of the platform. I believe the exploration of the darkest parts of the self for a faceless mass of sickos can be artistic and rewarding and validating for audience and creator alike. I mean, I'm best friends with the leftist cooks, for God's sake. But there is art, and there is content. And I really think a lot of these videos that see us crying on YouTube aren't so concerned about exploring something of the human condition as they are about getting your clicks and increasing your watch time. It's a trashy sideshow complete with audience manipulation and labor exploitation. But hey, at least you're having fun. But what do I know? Fuck me, right?